and then we'll think about it. And I don't think that the current National Council is in a position to pardon Gaddafi. Gaddafi has way too much blood on his hands.
And what about the military progress? I mean, there's been fighting in several areas today, quite sustained fighting, lots of casualties. Are you concerned about the progress that the opposition movement is making?
Well, we're making ground almost every day, but if it is left to us to defeat Gaddafi, then the human cost will be staggering and will be a huge human cost, and it will take time. And this is what why we call up on the international committee to implement this no-fly zone immediately, without any delays. Any delays will mean human lives. It is as simple as that. So does the world care about Libyan lives or not? This is the question we put to the international community. The other point we asked for and approved by and was said even by the head of the National Council is that we will approve specific surgical airstrikes on Gaddafi power bases and mercenaries.
Just in terms of, to go back to what you're able to do on the ground, is there enough of a coherent strategy for what the rebel fighters are doing at the moment?
I have a reservation about rebel fighters. This is started as a peaceful revolution, peaceful rallies that were massacred by the dictator's troops. And we had to defend ourselves, and we had to liberate our country. So it is the murderous dictator into a bloody war, and we had to take him on.
But no, I suppose what I'm asking you is, are you organised enough? Do you have a proper command structure to make the fight coherent?
This is the point. Most of our fighters, especially in Misrata, our friends in the east have taken. They have whole army barracks who defected on their side, and even pilots. But in Misrata, we don't have such a thing. We have our young boys who are carrying whatever guns and whatever ammunition we win from the Gaddafi forces. And they are not well trained, but the area where we win is the determination and the will.
Okay, Mohammed Ali in Misrata, thank you very much indeed. That was Mohammed Ali, who's on the Civil Committee for Misrata Affairs. Thank you. Well, as the fighting continues in Libya, there are growing concerns over humanitarian supplies. Medical workers in Ras Lanuf say that they're under-resourced and may have to stop treating people if the victims keep pouring in. We heard from one doctor earlier on. Here are some of his concerns.
We have now received more than 20 casualties. The injuries show that the heavy artillery has been used in the attacks. We are normally only equipped to deal with 5 casualties at once, and this is why the medical team has now been divided into different teams to try to manage this emergency situation. We are in a crisis right now. If the situation and the shelling continues, we will not be able to cope at all. We will have to stop. We are desperately calling on the international community to give us help. Desperately. Our countrymen are being slaughtered under our eyes and the world is silent.
Police in Pakistan have arrested a man over a bomb blast that's killed at least 25 people. The explosion happened in the eastern city of Faisalabad in a neighbourhood full of government buildings. More than 150 people were injured. Officials say the man arrested may also have links to a 2009 attack on the Sri Lankan cricket team. Kamal Haider has more from Islamabad.
A deadly attack at a gas station, this time, of course, with new tactics. The explosive-laden vehicle was parked inside that gas filling station. At the time of the blast, the man is said to have left his vehicle and then detonated his device by remote control. According to the security forces, at least 25 people were killed and over 100 wounded. A number of buildings close to that filling station were also destroyed. Rescue efforts were underway to try and dig out both the dead and possibly people who may have been trapped under the debris. The security forces also saying that they have claimed a major breakthrough by arresting a man whom they believe was responsible for the attack. He's also been implicated in the attack on the Sri Lankan team in the city of Lahore earlier.
A cash for work programme paid for by the US has been set up in Afghanistan. It's proving popular, but there are concerns over exactly who is benefiting. AlJazeera's Sue Turton has this exclusive report from Kandahar province.
Buying their way into the Taliban heartland, a US programme in the district of Jirai in Kandahar that pays local people to work. Clearing canals or fixing up bombed buildings can earn them $40 a week. It's proved hugely popular. Over 1,500 workers turned up last week from all walks of life.
We're not naive enough to think that there are no Taliban working for us. In an area where the Taliban was born and really came to power, frankly, of 1,400 people, there are going to be some that are Taliban. And that's okay, because as long as they're here to help us rebuild and they're not causing problems, planting IEDs, shooting at us, then we're okay with that.
But even with some Taliban working amongst them, joining this American project is a risky business. This airstrike had to be called in after the Taliban attacked one cash for work site, injuring an ISAF soldier who was guarding the workers. They've warned others to stay away.
We're scared. There's no difference between you and me for the Taliban. They would slit our throats because we're working for the Americans.
The Taliban told my father he shouldn't work here.
As the foreman handed out the weekly wages, we saw some of the money being handed to men in a parked car. We're told at least half of it goes to the Taliban. One senior Afghan officer at the base said he now thinks the project is doing more harm than good. It's not the only outreach project they have. A makeshift clinic hands out medicines, and it's soon to be replaced with something more substantial.
3 months ago, the decision was made to leave a more solid legacy behind. These 4 buildings will house a school, a clinic, an agricultural training centre and a shura, a meeting room. The hope is that these bricks and mortar will stand firm against the Taliban in the fighting season and act as a reminder that the US forces provided them with something the Taliban didn't.
Word of the Cash for Work programme reached a neighbouring district. Elders turned up at the US outpost to ask the Americans to set one up locally. It's a good sign if the money goes to them and not to bolster the Taliban's funds. Sue Turton, AlJazeera, Kandahar.
Iran's former president Akbar Hashemi Rafsanjani has been ousted from a top state clerical body. He'd been the leader of the 86-member Assembly of Experts since 2007. Rafsanjani is a bitter opponent of President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. He's accused of being too close to the reformist opposition. Mohammed Marandi is a professor of American Studies and Political Science at Tehran University. He says Rafsanjani had been losing the support of senior officials for some time.
Mr. Rafsanjani began losing a lot of his popularity in the 90s because it was perceived that some people around him, including some family members, were taking advantage of his position. And in post-revolution Iran, there's a lot of